need to ask, is this truly a 4-year scholarship, or is it a 1-year renewable scholarship? I think that's super important.
Yeah, that question has been around for a long time. The recruiting process started for me a decade ago. But anyway, I say that, there's a plethora amount of questions. One, it all starts with, for me, my travels has been who the university is, what they are, what they stand for. There's a home for everyone. So number two is that, we can ask a ton of questions, but I'm gonna tell you, some of those answers that we are looking for, some of those schools can't do it. They just can't provide it. They just not them schools for that, because one, as parents, our expectations are here in a lot of different ways from A to Z. We expect a lot. We developed our kids a certain way and raised them a certain way, and so when you go to asking all of these questions, for me, I always start off with who they are. That's one of the most important things for me, because I can't get to the other stuff unless I know truly who that person is, because I already know who my son is, and I already know if it's going to work. Not to say that I just want to be negative about it, but at the end of the day, if that coach doesn't have what that player needs, we just got to talking about it earlier, then what's the point on even looking at that school? So the big picture for me is who that head coach is. And once I figure out who that is and the staff and all that, then I'll get into the detailed stuff like you mentioned, James, about, is the scholarship a full ride? Is it renewable every year? Those schools put that stuff together. Trust me. And the NCAA signed off on it, because I went through it with Kevin at LSU, and I didn't sign no paperwork until it got real heated and heavy. And I put a lot of pressure on Les, and Corey to understand that I'm not signing that stuff unless we're protected, period. It's a life that's trying to move forward in his career. And I need you guys, since you say you want it and he's getting a full ride, to understand this is what we need. This is what he needs to move forward. If you can provide that, then we good.
Great point. Great point.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in it real quick. And I mean, this is just really my perspective, but I've also gone through the process twice, 2 totally different experiences. One son went to a Power 5 school, the other son went to an HBCU. I really don't feel as though the questions even matter, because all those coaches, it's almost like a first date. When you go on a first date, you're going to put your best foot forward. You're going to say what I want to hear. You done researched me. You might even looked at my Facebook page. I had a coach, tell me something about myself, and I was supposed to be impressed, whatever. The thing about it is, I would recommend that parents choose a school for their young adult that they can get their degree, number one, and that they can thrive academically. Because again, I know that we're talking about sports. I know they're being recruited for a particular sport, but we all know, remember FSU a couple of years ago? Their coach just jetted, left, had got all these guys recruited. None of them had signed. Several of them transferred. Coaches leave. My oldest son, he went through 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 defensive coordinators. And we all know the politics that happen in every sport. So when you get a new coach in or a new DC and he ain't recruit you, so you better be putting yourself in the best position to thrive. And you better, as parents, have your kids not really thinking that any promises that these coaches make, it don't work like that. It really don't. They're going to say whatever you want them to say in your living room. I've cooked for these coaches. I've done all kinds of stuff. They done sat in and ate, my chili and this, that, and the other. So the bottom line, though, is that they will say whatever you want them. They're going to give you the right answer. But when that check comes for them and they get a bigger check, they will jump ship on your kid. And now you looking at a situation. I know all too many students, track athletes, basketball athletes, football athletes, coaches change, and then the whole system changed. I used to say, make sure that your kid can fit into that system. You know, if your kid is used to running, you know, my younger son's a slot receiver. So they did the, oh God, what is it called, guys? Help me out. Is it the run pass option thing? They did that, right? So we were looking for a school that did that. Well, sure enough, my son got there the first year. The OC got a head coaching job somewhere else. So my point is, it doesn't matter. You better be making sure that your kid can succeed and can thrive, even if that coach were to leave, because we've seen that in more cases than I care to admit.
It's about the school and the family fit, not about the coach. Okay, Mr. Parsons,
Yeah, I was going to hit on what Mr. Tolliver said, and then she hit on it. Yeah, the coach could be there today and gone tomorrow. So my thing is, I heard a lot of schools, they don't support the athletes with what they're trying to major in because it may interfere with football practices. So I want a school that is going to support my son for the degree, you know. So if he happens to have to miss a practice or be late because of class, they want to accept that. Don't put him in a field that's really not important just so he could play and fit all their schedules, you know, because you did get an education. You know, I still feel even though you're on scholarship, it's an extracurricular activity, but use the extracurricular activity to get you a degree. So if they're not going to support what you're trying to go to school for, then that's not a good fit for you.
oh, that's 3 good nuggets. So Mr. Tolliver, you said who the coach is, who the staff is, that matters more. That's very important. You need to understand who they are versus who your child is. Angela, you said it's a commitment to school because they need to know that this school is the right fit because the coaches are going to rotate out as the coaches have more opportunity. And Mr. Parsons, you said, are they going to support your kid getting a degree, or are they going to say you have to sacrifice your degree for the sport you're playing? Those are some really, really good nuggets from people who've been through the process. So the next question up is, if the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 have a football season, what kind of impact will it have on the Pac-12 and the Big 10?
I'll just jump in real quick. If those 3 conferences get through and nothing happened, there's going to be some backlash. But again, I feel like they erred on the side of safety. They put safety first. God was on their side. They play all 3 conferences and nothing happens. But again, if something is to happen, that's another. I wouldn't want to be that coach or AD to have to tell that parent, you know, your child got sick on my watch. Now they got respiratory problems, or even worst case, may pass away. So again, if they get through, thank God nobody got injured or hurt or caught COVID. But at the same time, I just feel like you should err on the side of caution for these young men. I know these young men want to play. I know that's what they're there for, but sometimes you gotta put safety first.
Well, for me, it's, you know, I got one in college, and they just canceled the Southland Conference. They just canceled it last week. And he called me, and he was a little bit disturbed by it. But, you know, we got through that, and I told him, I said, okay, the next step is we got to focus on academics. I need you to lock down and get as many credited hours and take as many as you can right now. Okay, we got past that. Now, the football thing for those 3 conferences, you know, Mr. Parsons said it. It's you rolling the dice. So when you roll the dice, hey, it is what it is. You either gonna win or you're gonna crap out. So for me, if one of my kids was still in one of those conferences, yes, I'm gonna be reluctant to letting them play and having a conference because they don't have their stuff together. They don't have it together. They don't know. They're just going by and doing whatever. I'm gonna be honest with you. If any of y'all know anything about OTAs, a lot of these colleges are still going and doing it virtual or talking to them or whatever, just like they do every year to try to figure out, you know, how to coach these kids up at a different level, get them ready for the NFL. They go to these OTAs and they're getting a lot of their information from them, you know, and how to move forward with this COVID-19, the processes, the safety piece of it, the whole 9 yards. And I know that because I'm inside because Kevin's in Chicago. So at the end of the day, I see it. But some schools can't afford that, you know, and we talked about this last week. So, you know, I disagree with it. I don't know how all of them are going to do it because of the staffing part of it and how they're going to migrate through all of that. You know, they're not going to have anybody in the stands because that's not social distancing. I mean, how you going to do that? I mean, it's just going to take, it's just too many variables and too much unsafety in this for me to see that those three conferences are going to be able to stomach this stuff and go through with the season. I just can't see it. I'm against it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm against it because it's too much. And I haven't seen anything yet, you know, surfacing out there where they got all of these things in place like I've seen the NFL teams put together. I've seen everything that Kevin and them got going on, everything. And I'm going to tell you, it's like Fort Knox over there. So until I see that or one of these schools and these conferences, you know, lay that out like that, I don't feel good about them even playing the ball moving forward in those three conferences. And it's going to be a lot of backlash. It's going to be a problem.
I think it's already a problem. I think it's greed. I think, you know, just like you said, Coach Tolliver, they can't do what the NFL does. They ain't even going to have the TV. And I don't think that college is able to take the hit of not having the fans. But again, you bring those fans in there, that's another liability. They're not going to, I think they'll start, but I don't think they'll finish. And, you know, my main concern is, again, there is no leadership. There is no structure. There is no, hey, everybody's got to get tested once a week. There is no, everybody's got to, it's just do whatever you do conference. It's however that school is choosing to do that. And so, again, how can that be a winning formula? Because, again, they're not the NFL. You know, my son is at the Panthers, and I'm with you, Coach Tolliver. They get tested every day. And so I go to Charlotte every weekend just about and try to catch a glimpse of my child. But he won't even go to a restaurant because guess what? If he's in a restaurant and there's more than 15 people there, he runs the risk of getting like a $15K fine, something stupid, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Same time, it's not stupid because if you hit them in their pockets, those young men are gonna 9 times out of 10 do what they need to do. But we're not there on the collegiate level. So again, you're playing Russian roulette. It's way too many variables. It's way too many people that are calling the shots that have no clue as to what's going on. You've got all these underlying issues now that we don't know what COVID is doing once you catch your heart, how those organs in your body are going to respond. So I feel like they'll start. I feel like they're taking a huge risk. And, you know, it's just like anything else in life. When we teach our kids, you know, you do what I say. You're not old enough to make your own decisions. So even though these young men are saying we want to play, you know where they get that from? They got that from the NFL when the league and the PA were debating and the league was trying to hold out and not pay them boys. So the professionals start saying we want to play, but it's a whole different play. It's a whole different realm. It's like apples and oranges because the collegiate players really don't even have a voice for themselves first. Okay, whereas the league at least has the Players Association that represents them. They have no representation. And then when you get people that says, "Hey, Trevor Lawrence doesn't represent me," or you know, we're not on the same page as these parents that are saying X, Y, Z. It's just too many variables. I think it will start, but I think it'll end.
I'm going to say this. You know, I don't think the SEC or the ACC are good barometers of whether we should play or not. Because frankly, in the South, someone's going to have to die. We're going to really, because that's what we care about. In the SEC, they've actually, for me, and I don't care what anybody says, they found a way to monetize this. They're going to allow 20 to 25% of capacity in the stands, which means you're going to pay a premium for those tickets to actually go and see your child play without the ability to offer these kids. I haven't seen where the SEC or the ACC has offered permanent life insurance, permanent medical insurance, or even the 6 years of medical insurance the kids are the kids in the Pac-12 initially asked for. There's no protections. I think about the conversation that we had last week you're getting the cheapest labor that will provide you with the most profit. And if I'm a parent looking at this, I'm seeing two different ways my kid is being treated. One particular segment is treating my kid like a human, understanding that there is life after the sport. Another particular segment is treating my kid like a true commodity, and they're saying we're going to use this commodity like a human resource and not a person. And so I think that there will be an impact, but only in an impact of people who are saying college is just a stepping stone to the NFL. If you're a parent who looks at college from a more holistic perspective as far as education plus academics and connections, you won't have a problem with the way that the Big Ten or the Pac-12 handle things. But that's just, again, my unpopular opinion about the South.